Hello, everyone. We're here to talk about Outriders, a game that we're now both masters of. I'm your player one, Oscar Taylor Kent, deputy editor of Official PlayStation Magazine, and I'm joined by player two.
I'm Ian Dean, editor of Official PlayStation Magazine.
Excellent. We've been playing. Well, I've been playing a lot of Outriders. Have you been playing a lot of it too? I spent quite a lot of time with the demo.
Yeah, I've been playing quite a lot. Surprisingly for what is a fairly short demo, it's like 3 hours for one playthrough. But if you keep popping back in a different classes, it's quite a big demo, and it carries on to the full game, which is cool. So you don't feel like you're wasting time.
Yeah, it is level capped at level 7, which is probably a good thing because I probably would have kept replaying the missions longer if it was a higher level cap. The world tier is this kind of interesting system where, how to describe it, I guess it kind of makes the game harder for more rewards, but you unlock those harder levels by getting a certain amount of sort of world experience on the lower one, and it just kind of gradually ratchets up, and you can change it at any time.
Well, it goes up and it goes down, doesn't it? So you can, it's a risk and reward type thing, isn't it? So you can put it up to tier 5 and chase that hot loot, or you can go, right, this is too much, I'm going to go back down to tier 2 and just grind through the game. So it's kind of cool because it lets you play how you want. It's quite an interesting thing, and it it's separate to other stuff, so it's separate to like your leveling and things. So you can it gives you more tools to tailor the game to how you want to play.
Yeah, and it does kind of add a surprising amount of replayability to. Well, you can replay any side quest, which will get you fresh rewards, and you can also really easily set the campaign clock to wherever you want. I don't know if you fiddled with that much, but it's really specific. Like basically every time there's a new objective, you can just go back and say, oh, I want to be at that point again. So I want to be just before this boss fight, kind of. And then try a harder world tier.
You are definitely the master of Outriders.
Well, it obviously there's a lot about Outriders that's different to Destiny 2, but there's also a lot of things that are similar. Just look at the menus and the cursor analog stick thing, and the loot. But Destiny always struggled with where the campaign was, where it fit in everything, but it kind of feels like a lot of the campaign missions in Outriders kind of sit quite snugly along the side quests, and you can basically hop in, play whatever you want. There's meaningful rewards for playing whatever you want and going back and trying the different world tiers and with different builds and different skill sets and ability sets.
I liked it. Like you mentioned Destiny, I throw Avengers in there too, but
definitely
I find those games muddled. Like I found Destiny enjoyable, but the story just gets, if you're not fully invested in digging out all the lore, the story is kind of so complex and winding and muddled. You just end up, I'm just shooting stuff for the sake of it. Whereas Outriders, I find that the narrative feeds through the whole game quite nicely, and there's like a hub and spoke system. So each time the characters move on to the next part of the narrative, the next chapter, there's a focus to everything, and I'm keen to see where that goes with the final game. Annoyingly, they start in quite a drab mud and trenches kind of stage where the intro teases what's to come, and I think Oscar's seen more of that. It's
quite a war-torn place. There's a lot of mud and
when I interviewed with devs recently, they're really teasing me about, because I was asking about places in the game world that have been inspired by real life, and they said if they give that away, they'll give away where the game goes. I'm just in my head we're heading down a Planet of the Apes situation where we're kind of not where we think we are. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, I kind of hope there's some more environment variety, because that beginning prologue bit where you see the planet, and it's like minor spoilers. There's kind of a time skip right at the beginning of the game, which is in all the marketing, so you should know that already.
It's in the demo. It's in the demo.
It's within the first 5 minutes or so, the first 15 minutes, I would say. You do see like a really nice, lush planet before then, shit hits the fan.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen when I first saw the game a year ago, they did tease stuff, so you saw those big expanses of snow, those environments. There are some dense forest environments with like kind of ancient alien structures and things. So they're definitely buying into it. There's more color in the game than I think the demo suggests.
Yeah, and there's some nice creature design as well. I really like some of the alienness of some of the creatures. There's that really tall one that you get a glimpse of in one of the side quests in the demo. I don't know if you did that one.
I did. So it's it's interesting to find out what side quest you did. I did the one where you hunt down like the crazy captain who fires fiery whirlwinds at you, and it drove me nuts. It's so hard.
Yeah, that one is annoying. You just got to stay on the move, which is I think most of the classes kind of benefit from that, staying on the move, kind of. I mainly played as Trickster. I have tried them all before, though, and that one's very much about being on the move. You can, like, kind of teleport basically across the whole battlefield. You can teleport, like, across, like, chasms, across gaps to, like, jump over behind someone. And then you get health back for close range kills as well, so.
I played that side quest as... the sniper class, so that was the technomancer, and I didn't do myself any favors because, as you say, you got to keep on the move, and I'm playing a class that needs to camp.
Yeah, it's a bit of an odd one, the technomancer. I've kind of haven't gelled quite as well with that one. There's some cool stuff you can do, though. You can lay down a lot of turrets, and kind of the idea is you kind of slow enemies a lot by freezing them. The kind of annoying thing sometimes about the abilities is that there's occasionally those more powerful enemies that basically can't get debuffed by certain things, and you've kind of come to rely on like putting your slow down and stuff, and then they just don't get hurt by it. You're like, okay, now what do I do?
Yeah, well, isn't it? They don't get hurt if you overuse them. So then it's basically stopping you from camping in one spot and just pummeling them with your specials, which is kind of neat. It forces you to like break from cover and play in different ways.
Because each class has that way of getting back health as well, like it definitely rewards you for not just hiding but like pushing forward. And
I definitely found when I played before in co-op, you discover the AI reacts in different ways to you, because if I'm hiding and then Oscar decides he wants to charge ahead and start killing everything, the AI reacts to that, and it will find me because I'm the one hiding, and it will run away from Oscar. When I played it before like that, it's a really cool AI system. It really adapts to what you're doing.
Yeah, I managed to get into a couple games online as well in the demo, and that was good fun. It was pretty easy to just kind of jump in. You kind of join someone else's game, and they kind of take charge of like, we're doing this mission or whatever. But it's fun to just run along, and you get like a lot of rewards and stuff from like that unopened chest and stuff in their version as well, so you get quite a lot of loot that way.
Things I noticed, I will say that it could just be the demo, but the main villain you fight at the end of the demo was far easier than when I played it a year ago. A year ago we had to grind through the same mission about 3 times before we could get to it.
I guess it maybe depends what world tier they had you on as well.
I think I was tier 5.
That's quite hard. That's like +2, I think.
Yeah.
They kind of scale the enemies to be like higher level than you in the world tiers. Yeah, it's I would say the gameplay is probably the standout thing about it. I mean, as people can fly, they know how to make like good like combat loops, and it feels kind of arcadey in that way, I'd say. I think Trickster is probably the closest anyone's come to Vanquish for me for a while, which is good.
It just feels good to play, like you're right. I mean, they know what they're doing with these kind of games, but it just feels good. It's fast. It's surprisingly quick, actually, for a game where you're kind of this big chugging space armor guy.
Yeah,
it's surprisingly quick and pacey. Yeah,
like there's not legions of waves, at least not in the demo, like of enemies. Like each encounter's pretty quick, and you can handle everything, even solo, pretty well, I would say. Apart from the big guys.
No, those horrible. There's one side quest, and it's just filled with these guys that just charge at you with knives or hatchets, cleavers. They drove me nuts.
Well, I just slowed them down.
I couldn't do that. I had my firepower, pyromancer guy, and he was okay, but I think
Pyromancer's cool.
I think you've gone for a cheap class, Oscar.
It's good, hit and run. The Devastator is quite a lot of fun as well, because you just get these, you're kind of the tank, and you can just kind of like jump up and blast down and like just hit people with loads of stuff. It was good fun. I really like how the abilities have such quick like cooldowns as well. Kind of varies from power to power, but generally like you almost always have like one of your 3 abilities, like L1, R1, L1 and R1. You can kind of choose how to set them like active to use at once, which is kind of in Destiny, at least the way I play, I always end up with like having to wait ages to use my like superpower moves. But here it's very much like a complement to the gunplay. Like I'm pretty much using my trickster zaps to like teleport and slow people down, and use my like sword strike thing like just as much as I'm using like the shotgun pretty much.
Yeah, I think what's nice is that they haven't the balance between using those traditional gun skills and using your elemental sort of attacks, your abilities and your specials. They definitely spend a lot of time trying to balance how you combine them, because it's not just one or the other, and one isn't overpowered above the other. They kind of mesh quite nicely into one another, and experimenting with kind of juggling enemies in the air, and then your teammate comes in and finishes them off and stuff. Kind of cool.
Yeah, definitely. I'd say probably the weaker abilities that I've found so far are the ones like where you just like power up your ammo type, because it feels like it kind of gels a little bit less with the other abilities. But there's probably a use for that, I guess. If you're just providing like covering fire, I guess you could use your special bullets to slow people or something. But
yeah, I think you're going to find different abilities and combinations work differently with different team setups and different squads.
Or if you favor like sniping, for instance, like special bullets are probably more of a boon there than SMGs. Or I'm kind of an assault rifle / shotgun kind of guy. It's kind of the build I usually go for.
Yeah, I'm boring. I go for your bog standard. Whatever is a bog standard Space Marine build, give me a machine gun.
You gotta have a shotgun. I would say that kind of there's definitely a roughness to the game outside of the combat. I had some like weird glitches, like sound glitches and that kind of thing. And the environment's very much like pretty linear, it's pretty straightforward. It has these bits that kind of splinter off into side quests, but at the same time it's pretty understandable as well. Like it's easy to grasp, the structure of the game. But I only, if the gameplay's good, then that's kind of enough.
Yeah, I mean, if you want a level criticism at the moment, I guess it's of a type, isn't it? It's a chunky Space Marine shooter, and I thought it was fairly slick outside of some sound syncing on my playthrough. I thought it's pretty slick on PS5, and the load times are super speedy. You're straight into matches and stuff. There's no hanging about.
Yeah, it does have lots of little cutscenes, but that's just kind of where it's loading in like a kind of a side quest instance sort of area.
The weird where things clash a bit for me was so you got it's building itself as quite a strong narrative led game. So I think they said there's a 40-hour campaign in there, and you got the side quest. But what I found a bit odd was if you do there's a side quest in the demo where there's an old guy who gets shot, and you have to go and get some vengeance back on him. But he continues to stay alive. Even once you've done that side quest, if you pop back, he's still alive, and you get invited to go and help him again. It's kind of weird. It's like once it should kind of once
a little bit, but well, the idea behind the whole thing is that everything is replayable,
Yeah, it's just odd when you're walking through your kind of pub world, your base camp, and all of a sudden this guy pops up who died like half an hour ago. It's kind of still there asking for help. It's a bit odd.
It's unashamedly sort of gamey throughout the entire thing, really. But it is nice that they kind of committed to it feeling like one main campaign with replayable elements, as opposed to just a completely ongoing live service thing. Don't think there's it's not like it's just a prologue to the end game. The game is the game, and you kind of enjoy it for what it is, which I kind of appreciate. I guess it's closer to Borderlands or something in that respect than a Destiny. Yeah,
there's a definite beginning, middle, and end to the story, and the end game as such is a bit. It ties into that idea that you just want to dip in and shoot with friends on different world tiers and experiment the game a bit.
And they've said if it's well received, they definitely like to do more, whether that's in the form of DLC or sequels.
I got the sense when I spoke to them, they're more inclined to do a sequel than they would be, ongoing expansions that just add missions. I think they definitely prefer to build on the game story itself. But they've always been quite upfront. This is a narrative shooter with extras rather than a lie. It's not Destiny 2.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm impressed with it, and I think doing a demo is a really smart idea because there's a roughness to some things and a bit of it where it's like is kind of a Space Marine kind of generic stuff. But I think when people get to play it, which you can do now because there's no time limit on the demo, and apparently it will even be around after the game's out. Yeah, I think once you try it, you'll know if you like it, and you probably will because it's really nicely designed and made. I think it's nice they've called it a demo as well, and it is just a demo. It's not one of these, fake betas where it's like a month before release or like 2 weeks before release, and it's like, oh, it's a beta, and it's like, it's not though, is it?
I also like the thinking behind it in that they know there's a concern, I think, with people looking at it from afar through trailers and stuff, but you kind of thought you knew what the game was, but until you play it and get your hands on with it and feel how good it is to shoot stuff, that's when the game kind of comes alive a bit.
Yeah, well, you'd think with like demo discs and stuff going away that it would have just, it's just on consoles now. You can just get all the same amount of demos as you would before, but it's not, has it?
No.
I know it's tricky to make these bespoke builds, but I think it would be good because there's a lot of games with good gameplay that I think people would maybe like more if they didn't have to pay £70 to try it, especially with games being so expensive now. I don't know. Hopefully it continues, Yeah,
maybe let us know. Do you want more demos?
Anyway, yeah, thanks for listening to us tell you about Outriders and encourage you to play it. What more excuse do you need? And keep an eye on the magazine for more Outriders coverage.